Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to episode 1 of my new series, Exotical Beauty Tips. So, here on this channel, I do talk about a lot of very serious topics and trauma topics and stuff like that. So, every once in a while, I want to switch it up, maybe about once a week or so, to talk about some more lighthearted topics that can help all of us exoticals to level up and continue to stack our pretty privilege so we can get that exotical tax. So, today I want to talk about how I personally have used beauty tips to increase my own pretty privilege and my own confidence when it comes to things like hair care, skincare, fitness, diet, and things like that. So, the first tip I have is to start with learning beauty tips from all of your ethnicities. So, let's say you're black, white, and then you have like Latin American in your background or something. What I used to do was say, oh, well, if I feel like I look the most black, then only those beauty tips would work best on my hair or my skin or whatever. And don't get me wrong, there are some things that I love, like African black soap works really well on me. I love Jamaican black castor oil. I'm not Jamaican, but I love the Jamaican black castor oil. But I've noticed some people will say things like, oh, I don't have a lot of admixture from that category or from that racial group. And so whatever beauty tips they have to offer probably won't work on me. And that is so far from the truth. And I learned that the hard way because a lot of hair products that I was using from the African American community, they're good, but some of them were a little bit expensive for me, and then some of them would like build up on my hair and it just wouldn't look as good. And so then I started to research hair tips from different ethnicities. You guys know that my background is black, white, and Latin American. When I say Latin American, I mean Mexican. But at the time, I was going to Dominican hair salons because that's what was available. So whenever I would go to the Dominican salon, I noticed they would always slay my hair so well. And I also noticed that when they did my hair, they would cleanse it really well. And whatever conditioners and stuff they were using, it would make my hair so soft and so smooth. And it didn't have that feeling where it's like, just big globs of cream on there, kind of like how some of the African American products would have. So I started researching Latin American hair products because I was like, hey, whenever I go to the Dominicans, they seem to slay my hair, and this is really working out well. So that was when I found some of these hair products that I'm going to show on the screen. By the way, this is not sponsored or anything, but one of my holy grail products is silicone mix. So you know how in the black community they're like, oh, silicones are really bad for the hair. Like you shouldn't use silicones because it's going to dry your hair out. Well, that rule doesn't apply to me because my hair loves silicones. So I don't know if that means I'm not black enough or something, but whatever the case, my hair loves silicone products such as silicone mix or the chi products like the chi silk infusion. That is silicone. Even like Mix Chicks, it has different types of stuff in it that are kind of like coating the hair. Like I think it's called dimethicone or something. So I had to break some of the beauty rules from the black community and follow some of the beauty rules from the Latin American community, and it made my hair start to thrive. I remember when I was in college at an HBCU, a lot of the other girls were getting relaxers or maybe weaves or whatever, and their hair was kind of breaking off, their edges were breaking off. I remember my hair, it had stopped breaking off because I started incorporating silicones. And also, you know how a lot of people say that their hair gets messed up in the cold weather? So, for whatever reason, when I was wearing the Chi Silk Infusion in that super cold weather, it was still helping my hair to thrive. It was helping it to stay in place. It was like still moisturizing it. I've noticed that another rule that they have, mainly in the black community, that I used to follow was you can't use serums because your hair is like way too thick. It's way too dense for you to use serums. And for me, that also proved not to be true. My hair loves serums and it thrives on serums. So I learned to start using serums. And the point of me saying this is that I don't want the Exoticals to get too monocultural when it comes to beauty tips because there are so many other people groups out there. There are so many other beauty tips you can follow. And another beauty tip that I used is to start exploring the beauty habits of other ethnicities that are not a part of your background. So, for example, I love some of the beauty tips that I learned from the Indian community, so the East Asian community. Shout out to the Blasians, by the way. Shout out to the Blindian baddies on this channel. You guys are awesome. But I recently learned about Ayurvedic medicine. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but It's when you incorporate different types of herbs and things like that into your hair oils or into your recipes, and it's supposed to help your hair grow. Oh my gosh, as soon as I started learning about that, my hair started thriving so much more. By the way, there's this one exotical content creator that I follow because I feel like she kind of looks like my phenotype. Her name is Curly Proverbs. So she has very thick, very long hair, and her background is she's black and like Lebanese and like I think East Indian or something like that. I just say black and Arab. So if I'm categorizing her incorrectly, I'm sorry, but I just say black and Arab, similar to like Yara Shahidi or something like that. And so on her channel was where I began learning about Ayurvedic herbs and oils. And I think she even has her own hair care line now. But I started incorporating her beauty tips into my hair care regimen because in my spare time, I love to do different DIYs. Like I like making different face masks or hair masks or even like spray leave-on conditioners and stuff like that because it's just fun and relaxing for me. So I actually learned that the reason that a lot of people's hair grows unevenly, do you have a spot on your head where it like grows longer and faster than the rest of your hair? That actually has to do with your circulation. So apparently, based on the activities you do, like the types of workouts you do, or like how you wash your hair in the shower and stuff like that, and how you style your hair, that affects the circulation on your scalp. And so if you have like two pieces of hair. For me, the sides of my hair, kind of the dog ear area, I have those dog ears naturally where it's like on both sides of my head, my hair seems to just grow longer and thicker than the rest of my head. And that has to do with how I wash my hair. I do tend to massage my scalp on the sides mainly when I'm washing my hair in the shower because on the sides of my head is where I tend to put gel and stuff. And so whenever I'm wearing my hair in like a wet bun or something, you know how you kind of like slick your hair up? So when I'm washing my hair, I'm naturally scrubbing on that side or on both of those sides by my ears to get off the edge control. But I didn't realize that when I was doing that, I'm actually massaging my scalp. And so that's why the hair on the sides of my head was actually growing faster and better than the rest of my head was because I was massaging it. So this is actually common knowledge in Ayurvedic medicine. So in the Indian community, they know all about like scalp massages and how to do it correctly to make sure that all of your hair grows evenly, to make sure that the back of your hair in particular is really long. They know how to reverse gray hairs. And so learning about stuff like that was amazing. And I also found out that they have spas and stuff all over the country where you can actually go in to one of those Indian places and you can get a scalp massage. Like you can pay for it. Just like how they have those other Asian stores where it's like, oh, you can get a foot massage, you can get like a back massage or whatever. So they have places where you can actually get the Indian scalp massage. And this is very common in the Indian community. They do this massage. You can pay for it like maybe 20 or 30 bucks. If you just go to the local area in your city where they have a lot of immigrants and people from that community, you can just walk into any of those shops and literally get an Indian scalp massage, and they specifically do it so that your hair grows long and thick and stops shedding. And they infuse their hair oils with like all of these different Indian oils. So I personally use amla oil because I know that that is good for your actual hair texture. I never knew that herbs and different oils can affect your actual hair texture. So a lot of times people's hair can become super tight and like kind of coiling up onto itself and creating tangles if it's super dry versus when it's very moisturized, it kind of naturally weighs down your hair, which actually appears like kind of a looser hair texture for lack of better words. So anyway, I learned all of that information outside of just the Black community. And another little known beauty tip that I use that I feel like no content creators talk about is shopping at ethnic grocery stores. So the reason that I love shopping at different ethnic grocery stores is because they tend to have fresher produce. They tend to have fresher seasonings that like come in the bag and stuff like that. Or like in some cases, you can even buy stuff to grind up your own seasonings with a mortar and pestle. And the reason that's important is because a lot of people who come from these other countries and stuff like that, you know how a lot of them have hair that's very long and healthy. And by the way, this is all hair textures, not just type 2 hair, type 1 hair. I'm talking about even countries where some of the people have 4C hair textures. Even some places in Africa, they have very long, healthy hair because they're using things like different forms of clay to kind of like stretch it out and stuff. And they're using like the shebe oil and all of that stuff. But I learned that when I shop at ethnic grocery stores, they often have all of those ingredients that I need to make my DIY hair masks or to start using those seasonings and herbs in my cooking because I've noticed that whenever I shop at, like, let's say it's a Mexican grocery store or an Asian grocery store or a Mediterranean grocery store, anytime I buy seasonings from there, or even if I buy the pre made foods that they have there just in their delis, my body feels so much better. I have so much more energy. My skin starts looking better. My hair starts looking fuller. My teeth start looking whiter. It's almost as if the food is like just healthier and more natural as opposed to kind of the more processed stuff that you may find at like a local Walmart or something like that. So that's actually one of my biggest beauty tips is to shop at those ethnic grocery stores because another tip that I learned from shopping at Indian markets actually, that was how I found out about amla oil. I love browsing in the ethnic grocery stores and kind of looking at like, okay, what kind of hair products do they use that are like cheap and stuff and maybe they work well? Okay, what kind of face mask do they use? Okay, they use rose petals and they grind it into a powder and then they mix it with water and then they make a face mask out of it. Okay, they don't have that at Walmart. At Walmart, you're pretty much going to buy like CoverGirl or like, some of these big name brands, which happen to be more processed and in a lot of cases more expensive. So, for example, when I switched from African American conditioners and stuff to the Dominican ones, my budget actually, I saved money because the conditioner that I use, the silicone mix, it's anywhere from $5 to $7 maximum. Versus like when I was using the very expensive Shea Moisture stuff or like, the stuff where it's like $15 to $25 and you have to go to Ulta or somewhere to get like this very high end black hair product and then it doesn't even do quite as good of a job or it's like too heavy for my hair. So I use shopping at ethnic grocery stores as one of my main core beauty tips because I have learned so much from just not being so monocultural and just being open to see like, okay, what do other people do in their cultures? Because I've noticed sometimes like in the black community, for example, like when I went to an HBCU, sometimes people would be like, I can't wear that. I'm black. I can't do that. I'm black. Black people don't use that. And I almost started to take on that mindset at one point, but then once I got out of it, I was able to make such a big difference when it came to my own beauty and pretty privilege, and I was able to save money because I wasn't spending all of my money on like, $70 worth of Miss Jessie's. By the way, I love Miss Jessie's. I have some in my bathroom right now. That's one of my favorite companies that I will splurge on, but I don't really want to pay for that much Miss Jessie's 24/7. I like to have different options. So another thing that I learned this from the Asian community and that's not even in my mix, but I loved going to the Asian grocery stores and they have a beauty section, or at least at the one in the city that I used to live in. They have this really big makeup section and their skincare stuff worked so well on my skin. So they have these aloe vera face washes and the aloe vera stuff that you can put on your face. I'll show pictures of it if I can find it online. And that stuff cleared up my skin so well, and it was pretty cheap. I think it was like maybe about $15 for both of those. And also the Asian community has lots of really good quality toners that have worked well for my skin. I've used like their aloe vera toner, their witch hazel toners, their rice water toners. I've noticed in the Asian community they're very good at correcting hyperpigmentation on your face. And so that's why I like using their products because they're so much cheaper than like what you would get at an American Sephora. So that's another exotical beauty tip. Another exotical beauty tip that I actually got from the white community is the concept of split end repair. So I'm not saying that like you don't ever have to trim your hair, although I have heard of people doing that. But I did recently trim my hair not too long ago, and I love using products that help repair split ends because at first I used to have that same mindset where it's like, oh no, I'm black, so like you can't repair split ends if you have blackness in you because your hair is automatically like it just doesn't work. But no, I've learned that if a product says it's for all hair textures, and especially if it's cheap and if it's promising to do something really amazing for your hair, in my opinion, I think it's worth at least one try. So that was how I actually discovered Olaplex because Olaplex is like it has been so good on my hair. So I started using them. That was back when I was wearing a lot of extensions like micro links and stuff like that. Stuff where it's kind of like pulling on my hair directly. So I would say that if you wear a lot of micro braids, Senegalese twists, or anything where it's like an individually placed hair extension that directly weighs down your hair, when I was using Olaplex, that greatly helped my hair to not pull out, because for me, I have fine hair. So if I wear a lot of braids and stuff that kind of weighs down my hair, it's going to pull it out. And I don't want to have like alopecia or anything like that. So when I had microlinks, I was using the Olaplex #3, and I was using that bonding oil and even the shampoo and conditioner whenever I could like afford to pay for it or whatever. And I would wash my hair with that while it was in the extensions. And it really helped so that when I took out the extensions, it didn't like break off a lot of my hair and cause a ton of shedding. So I would say if you like to wear a lot of braids and stuff, you may want to consider trying Olaplex products, because those white girls that have been promoting that, they actually know what they're talking about, because I love Olaplex. Like, I'm literally going to ask for Olaplex products for Christmas this year. So another thing that I have that's a beauty tip that I feel is not talked about enough is using cultural facilities to enhance your beauty journey. So for example, I didn't realize how much yoga actually improved my pretty privilege, because for example, yoga, it increases your circulation. It is known to increase your heart rate variability, which is actually really good for like relaxation. It reduces your cortisol levels, which in turn reduces wrinkles. In yoga classes, you're also doing certain forms of breath work, because they'll say breathe in when you're doing one pose and then breathe out when you're doing another pose. So again, doing simple things like breath work and very mild forms of meditation, whether you're religious or not, that actually helps to reduce wrinkles, reduce gray hairs. It helps you to feel more just naturally relaxed. It helps to increase blood flow to the brain, and that's very important for decision making. So, you know how a lot of people, they like make bad decisions in their life. They become like, they get used and abused, or maybe they have like 10 kids by 10 different guys or whatever. Well, that is a part of that is because of their decision making ability. So, did you know that the blood flow that goes to your brain, that actually affects the types of decisions you can make? So if you have no blood flow going to your brain, you are scientifically going to make worse decisions. So when I first learned that, first of all, it scared the crap out of me. But one thing that I didn't realize is that just doing simple things like maybe a yoga class where it's not very hard to do, like you can just do the little poses or whatever, you're not going to be drenched in sweat, but something as simple as that can actually increase your blood flow to your brain, which in turn helps your beauty. Not to mention the fact that you also get to wear like a cute yoga outfit. And one thing that I have noticed about yoga in particular is because it is associated with certain religions, there are actually a lot of free yoga classes all around the country, because sometimes people from that religion, I think it's Hindu or one of the Eastern religions, sometimes people from that religion, they're just trying to promote their spiritual beliefs. And so they will offer free yoga classes, whether it's in the park or at a local community center or something like that. Even at colleges, like when I was in college, there were lots of free yoga classes going on. So I would say if you want to increase your pretty privilege and you want to get in a good workout and do something that's also good for your brain, but you don't want to sweat a lot, definitely look up free yoga classes in your area, because I'm sure you can find some. Another thing that has helped my pretty privilege, and another exotical beauty tip that I have that nobody else on YouTube is talking about, is using Pinterest. So I know that Pinterest is kind of like, I don't know if it's even still a thing, but ever since my friend put me on to Pinterest, it has been so helpful, because I like to use Pinterest to look up healthy recipes. So I actually hate Googling recipes in real life or whatever, and I'm not the type of person that's going to stand there and try to figure out what to cook for like 2 hours. I'm not doing that shit. So going on Pinterest and just typing in healthy 3-ingredient recipes, or healthy recipes with oats in them. On Pinterest, it'll just show you a whole bunch of pictures, and then it will have like step-by-step, very simple instructions on how to make that healthy meal. And on Pinterest is actually where I learned about infused water. and the different types of infused water. So you can make lemon water, you can make cucumber water, you can do water with mint in it. There are so many different things that Pinterest has really taught me and shown me. And I would say it only works if you actually follow the steps on there, not if you just browse and look at it. So I would say the thing that I like about Pinterest in comparison to TikTok is that TikTok doesn't quite motivate me to go and actually do whatever I'm watching TikTok about. But Pinterest, for whatever reason, I kind of feel like it motivates and inspires me because it tells me, okay, these are the ingredients you'll need to buy. And so then I just copy and paste those ingredients onto my grocery list and then I just go get them. And then next time I will have some yummy overnight oats or some nice infused water. And I've even used Pinterest for like nail ideas and hairstyling ideas and stuff like that. So that's been really helpful to me. Anyway, those are some of my exotical beauty tips that I feel like a lot of people on YouTube are not talking about. If you guys have any other secret beauty tips that you use and you want to share them in the comment section below, then let the girlies know. And I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.